We were taught when we were little, have respect for an elder, and that's been with me and my two families for years and years. We got to sort of pass that on to the next generations, because they're the ones that's got to carry on. Well, I'm 89 now, so. Reconciliation, where all cultures of people are equal, regardless of their cultures, and be proud of a culture. And I always thought we were taught respect in front of everything. Give respect, you'll receive respect.
I was asking who you are.
That's what I based myself on.
My auntie, my mother's sister's still alive, but she has given me permission to speak on behalf of family. So I believe that us grandmothers, also women, are the backbone of our communities. We keep the communities going, we keep the families together.
So my name's Warren Daly, mate. I'm one of the Ngunnawal elders.
But let me be clear. We cannot achieve reconciliation through empty words or half-hearted actions. It requires the commitment of all Australians to listen, to learn and dismantle the systems of oppression that continue to marginalise my people. During this Reconciliation Week, let us all engage in open dialogue driven by empathy and understanding. Let us all acknowledge the truth, the pain and the ongoing struggles faced by my people and Aboriginal communities across the vast land. Let us commit to dismantling the barriers that divide us and embrace the richness of our shared histories. As we stand together hand in hand, we become architects of change. We have the power to forge a nation where Aboriginal voices are respected, where our cultures are celebrated and where justice prevails. This is our vision for reconciliation. Let us all seize this opportunity to create a society that recognises the inherent rights and dignity of all, regardless of background or heritage. Let us all march forward, guided by the spirit of unity, understanding towards future where our children can walk with pride and hope. May this National Reconciliation Week be a turning point, a moment when we commit to building bridges of trust, healing the wounds of the past and embracing the proposed voice to Parliament as a fundamental step on the path to reconciliation. The flame of reconciliation burns bright within us all. I'd like to pay my respects to my elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to any First Nations people here as well. but I also like to acknowledge all the non-Indigenous people here as well. In keeping in the general spirit of friendship and reconciliation, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the land of the Ngunnawal people. And on behalf of my family and the other Ngunnawal families and Uncle Wally, and I know my family's up the back there, Richie, welcome, 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 and a happy Reconciliation Week. And please, if you don't know about the Voice, learn, because we really, really, really need to be used to support us with this. We do not want you to walk behind us or in front of us. We need you to walk beside us and make change. So when it comes to the referendum vote, please vote yes! What are you going to do? Vote yes!
Thank you so much. That was a story of instantly married, but this is a story of something much more. Our power and privilege cannot move the people who know where they stand and stand in the law. From little things, big things grow. 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 From little things, big things grow.
It's about having conversations about the true history of our city, our region, our nation, really getting to understand better the oldest continuous cultures on earth, and understanding the richness that they provide for our community as a whole. That walking alongside Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people on the path to reconciliation, on the path to equality, on the path to, really embracing 65,000 years of history is strengthens all of us and is better for all of us.
Yeah, I didn't realise how lucky we were.
Oh, I think for the ACT having, being the only jurisdiction that has a public holiday for Reconciliation Day, it's a really good opportunity for people to come out and have those conversations, to learn a bit more, to also just to have fun with family and friends in a really welcoming environment like here on Ngunnawal country.
Good evening, I'm Jared Constable. Also tonight, hundreds turn out for Reconciliation Day festivities at the National Arboretum. Hundreds of Canberrans braved the windy conditions for Reconciliation Day at the National Arboretum, the Voice to Parliament referendum, a popular topic of discussion as the countdown continues for Australia to vote before the end of the year.
Be a voice for generations. The theme for this year's Reconciliation Week tying in with the upcoming referendum. The Arboretum coming to life with music, storytelling and tradition as Canberrans enjoy the public holiday. From little things, big things grow. The ACT Reconciliation Council will be voting yes at the end of the year, saying it is vital for there to be a healthy discourse with those on the No campaign, welcoming the chance for the community to ask questions.
Being informed is not one-sided, so you need to learn and understand, why people are voting no, and, as an Aboriginal person, if this leads to ceding my sovereignty, I don't want any part of it.
The ACT government also throwing their support behind the yes vote.
This is not about spending a lot of taxpayer dollars on big advertising campaigns. It's about getting out and having grassroots conversations with the community.
The minister pointing out that the ACT is already leading the country with its own form of the voice.
We have an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elected body here in the ACT, and the sky hasn't fallen in. In fact, far from it. The elected body has been an important voice.
Canberra is currently the only state or territory to mark the start of Reconciliation Week with a public holiday, something community leaders say is another example of the ACT making history.
Just seeing literally hundreds of Canberrans there this morning at the smoking ceremony with Uncle Wally Bell, and just that respect that engenders for kids and parents there listening to that. So I think it is a model for the rest of the country that they could follow.
Georgie Burgess, Win News.
Thank you, Sarah, and thanks for your company this Monday, May 29th. That's how we saw your news. We'll be back tomorrow. Good night.
This has been a Win News presentation. Win News, Regional Australia's #1 news source.
And the Brumbies' trailblazing scheme that's getting Indigenous players into rugby union. Good evening, Adrian Francis with ABC News. Campaigning for the Indigenous voice to Parliament formed part of today's Reconciliation Day event in Canberra. The annual event is held at the National Arboretum and aims to educate people about reconciliation by immersing them in First Nations culture. Among the musical performances and cultural displays were stalls campaigning in support of a voice to Parliament. The Australian Government and Reconciliation Australia handed out leaflets and merchandise backing the yes vote, while the ACT Reconciliation Council also threw its support behind the yes campaign.
So it's wonderful to speak to different people of different cultures, religion, race, and hear their perspectives and how it's going to affect them. And, I've just been encouraging everybody to find out as much information, have as many conversations as you can to be able to make an informed vote.
We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian, we are one. But we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian.
Proponents of the Voice to Parliament say it'll give Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders greater input into the government policies which shape their lives. And one of the key issues is creating steady jobs. While nationally unemployment is at near record lows, First Nations Australians are more than 3 times as likely to be out of work compared to non-Indigenous people. And in remote areas, the employment rate for Indigenous Australians is about half that in major cities. In recent years, one community on the Nullarbor Plain, about halfway between Sydney and Perth, has been working on creating local jobs for locals. Stephanie Richards travelled to Yalata for this story.
I like doing more.
After decades working as a painter, Lindsay May is trying to pass on a lifetime of knowledge.
They gotta learn. If I pass away, what they do behind? They gotta keep on doing that.
He lives and works in Yalata, an Ununu community near the Great Australian Bight. As with many other remote communities, unemployment has long been one of Yalata's biggest issues.
When I get up in the morning, when the people go past, I was going to ask some young fellas, come work, but they don't come for work.
But locals are starting to cut into that long-running problem. Inside this shed, a team of workers is packaging harvested wood. The grocery store next door is another community-led initiative creating local jobs.
I like doing work in the shop, like stacking and cleaning.
Many people here in Yalata view employment as key to improving the lives of younger generations, but projects such as these are not without their challenges. Not everyone regularly turns up to work, and locals say Yalata is still impacted by drug and alcohol misuse.
It's tough getting a job anywhere, but we think that we can make a difference and grow this community to stand on its own.
For many locals, it's a source of pride that, through their own initiatives, they've managed to make positive changes, growing the number of jobs in Yalata from 19 to 66 in just 3 years. The value of self-determination has been a key theme of the Yes campaign, which hopes a voice to Parliament would ensure decision-makers take note of what can be achieved when change is driven from within.
We put story to the government, Canberra, to help us, help people.
But ahead of the referendum, most locals are reluctant to talk about it. They'd rather focus on issues much closer to home, like getting more young people into work.
We like doing something in this community. Just want to keep this community strong.
Stephanie Richards, ABC News, Yalata.
And for more information on what is being proposed, you can search for ABC Voice to find our Voice to Parliament hub, which has all the latest developments and news in the lead up to voting day on the 14th of October.
Also tonight, opponents of a Voice to Parliament rally in Australia's capital cities, while the Prime Minister hits the Yes campaign trail. Hundreds of people have gathered for unofficial no-vote rallies across major cities ahead of the Voice referendum next month. On the other side, Yes campaigners ramped up their campaign with door-knocking efforts in the suburbs.
Just over a week before early voting opens, both sides of the Voice debate have been out in force across the country, while the Prime Minister joined the Yes campaign in Sydney.
It is about just recognition and is about giving people a voice.
No voters made their voices heard at rallies in all mainland state capitals. The events were promoted as freedom rallies on social media and were not affiliated with the official No campaign. No referendum! In Brisbane, hundreds gathered in the CBD's Queen's Gardens protesting the Voice before marching down George Street.
After hearing what the elders and what the grassroots community have said over the last few months, I'll be voting no on the referendum.
We feel that at the moment it would be better to be legislated so we could see what the model looks like.
In Melbourne, several hundred made their way to State Parliament before marching through the CBD.
You are, we are Australia.
Hundreds more gathered in Sydney's Hyde Park.
There have been
more than a dozen speakers here at the rally in Sydney advocating for a variety of different causes. Many of them don't see eye to eye on those issues, but one thing they do agree on is voting no.
We all live on this one planet. We all live on this one continent, right? So the voice is not a revolution. The voice is not the answer.
It's a nice day.
Yes supporters have stepped up their ground game, taking their campaign to the nation's front doors.
We want to have honest conversations with our fellow Australians about the truth, and that is, this is going to be an advisory committee. Indigenous people want it, and we want it because we want to change our lives.
There's less than a month to lock in support. Leah Harris, ABC News, Sydney.
You know, I think there is a chance for the hope of a new conversation and a new pathway forward. You'll have recognition in the Constitution and a promise of a new body. Then the challenge will be the detail. It'll be delivering on the very big promises that were made. That's a very hopeful place to be. I think if it's a no, the first thing to deal with will be the psychological impact on First Nations people and what that means in terms of the message it sends. And the responsibility will be on those who've said this is not the way forward to show us what is the way forward. It will really be the responsibility of whoever carries the day to show that what they've promised to get that result is what they can deliver on.
Yeah, huge weight for both sides.
And whatever happens, you know, I think there are a lot of First Nations people who are thinking about how they spend that Sunday and Monday with their friends, families, communities and colleagues, trying to heal, repair and just be.
Larissa Barrett, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
So what we're looking at is a sort of small pebble of a dried plum.
Every salty plum, they vary in their degree of dusting and their powdery exterior surface.
Covered in what looks like salt and quite a bit of chilli, intimidating amount of chilli.
I feel like salty plums, they unify as much as they divide.
Salted or salty?
Never tried salty plums before.
Salty plum, never had one before.
Kids up here go crazy for them.
My sisters, my friends, lots of people eat them. Everyone, my family.
Oh, it's kind of hard in the middle.
No, it's smoky. Oh, yum.
Explosion of salt and spice, and then very sweet.
It's hitting the back of the throat now, very sour.
Mango-ish.
It's like kind of almost like a tamarind a little bit, but not sweet.
I'm not going to put the whole thing in my mouth like an amateur.
Yeah, okay, very interesting. There's a lot going on.
Very salty.
Fruity, yeah, sour, absolutely.
Tastes good. It's really nice.
I kind of want one again right now.
You know about the taste?
No.
You don't like it?
Where did the voice come from? Can a voice improve Indigenous lives? Fran Kelly and Carly Williams answer these questions and more in the ABC podcast, The Voice Referendum Explained. Available now on the ABC Listen app.
The Prime Minister has unveiled how his government would legislate a voice to Parliament, pledging to include the opposition in any decisions over how it would look. If the yes vote were to succeed in 3 weeks' time, Anthony Albanese says he would establish a bipartisan parliamentary committee to advise on the voice. But it's looking more unlikely every day as the No campaign launches its final message across Australia tonight. Jesse Thompson reports.
I'm a brother, an elder. I'm a mama. I'm a daughter.
The No camp is keen to show it has Indigenous support, as its fiercest advocates argue the voice would draw a racial line through a unified country.
Come on, Australia, let's stay united.
Vote no to the voice of division.
The final broadcast ad from the group leading the No campaign, Fair Australia, is shot in the battleground state of South Australia, where the outcome could be crucial to either case. Aggregated polling is showing support for a constitutionally enshrined advisory body continuing to decline.
The voice of those who are dissenting, who aren't supportive of the voice, are growing louder as we're going forward.
Surely in 2023 we can say yes to an advisory committee
that will make life better for First Nations people.
The trouble for the Yes campaign hasn't taken the wind out of the Prime Minister's sails. Anthony Albanese says he'll push for a bipartisan committee to install the voice if the referendum succeeds.
I want there to be as broad a support as possible for the legislation that is carried.
Supporters of the no vote demonstrated across Australia yesterday, while today more than 50 Victorian health organisations backed yes, arguing health policy with Indigenous input creates better outcomes for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples.
And I know that life expectancy gap, it still exists today in our communities right across this continent. Our people are still dying young.
Campaigning continuing to ramp up, less than 3 weeks out from the final vote. Jessie Thompson, ABC News.
And if you want more information on what is being proposed and how a Voice to Parliament would work, a good starting point is a video explainer made by the ABC's Indigenous Affairs team. You can find that by searching for ABC Voice and our website, which also has all the latest developments as we approach referendum day.